welcome or welcome back to the channel. I'm Shoy, and this is my housemate, best friend, Abby.
Hi!
And today we're gonna do the rapid fire book tag. Basil's left us. We're here for a cozy evening with some drinks as well. I think I saw, as told by Shuba, do this tag with a friend with some drinks, and that kind of inspired me, and I was tagged by Kat from the Cat Bite, so thank you for tagging me. It was very exciting. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit first? Like, do you want to talk about who you are as a reader?
Okay, well, my name's Abby, and I, as a child, was a very avid reader, and I read a lot, and that was my thing. Like, I remember this one time I was at the pharmacy with my mum, and the pharmacist was like, well, if there's one thing to be addicted to.
Wait, really?
Anyway. So I was like really into it. Anyway, I read a lot.
Makes sense that we're friends.
Yeah, and I was quite obsessive. Like, I was very fangirly over certain, like...
Do you want a name drop?
Harry Potter was the big one for me. But I enjoyed my dystopia. I enjoyed my Hunger Games, my Divergent. I was really in the...
You know what?
YA.
I also love Hunger Games, and I loved it on the reread as well. But our other housemate, Will, told me that he thinks it's really bad. He said that to me, and I was like, I actually think it's really good writing.
But I was very YA, and then, like, I guess I just got quite burnt out from reading during high school, and then since then I've basically only read nonfiction.
Yeah.
So I'd say predominantly I'm a nonfiction, like, audiobook listener at this stage of my life. So it's kind of like downhill, but
that's okay. Maybe this will inspire you talking about books.
Maybe it will. Oh my god, what are we drinking? I feel like that's a fun thing to say as well.
Sure, yeah, we have some fun drinks. You're double parked.
Okay, I'm double parked. This is like an agrum and vodka, and then this is like a hot chocolate with like, ooh, I don't know if you can see that, and I can't show you, but there's like 6 marshmallows in here, and then also some salted caramel liquor, I think. Anyway, so that's what I am stuck with.
Lovely. I did make myself a hot toddy because I'm sick, and I was like, and it's really cold. It's winter in Australia.
And Melbourne winter is shocking because the houses are not built for winter here.
Not at all. So I just needed a hot drink. I was like, I'm only gonna drink if it's a hot drink. And the hot toddy can strongly recommend just whiskey and like a lemon honey, but also a bit of nutmeg and cinnamon. That really does the trick. But I already finished that, so now I'm on to like, this is like 3-week-old Aldi wine plus rosé mixed together, plus I added some like peach schnapps because there wasn't much left.
Did you do anything non-alcoholic to mix it?
No, but it's just
shocking.
But it's very sweet and it's not very alcoholic. We're not gonna be rapid fire, but that's part of the fun.
Ebook or physical book?
I will always prefer a physical book. Yeah, I don't like to look at screens, and I don't think that I don't need ebooks in terms of like I know some people, they prefer having a Kindle. It's like easy to take around and stuff. I don't really care for it, and I will only ever read an ebook on like my laptop.
I will also say physical book because I also would not pick a Kindle.
Yeah.
I had a Kindle, and the only book I had on it was Coraline, and it horrified me because there were pictures. Oh yeah. Because I had a childhood fear of the movie, and then I read the book, and the book had pictures in it. It was horrifying, and then I never touched the Kindle. I never touched the Kindle.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, that was all.
The next question is paperback or hardback? I think I'm gonna choose a paperback, but like the bigger, floppier paperbacks. Yeah.
What does bigger, floppier mean?
Like when I have actually a perfect example, which spoilers for the next like later questions, but I think this is an example of way too small. This one is problematic. It's smaller than the regular book size, and it's really thick, so then the spine breaks and it's horrible. So I don't like this. But this is like big, and so it's floppy. Yeah. There's a lot of discourse online about floppy paperbacks. And I don't mind a hardback, but I think I prefer a paperback.
I would prefer paperback too. I guess I'm not very precious about my belongings. Yeah. And I just think a hardcover is harder to transport. Yeah. It's harder to take with you. You know what I mean? Like 100%. It's just a paperback is cheaper. You can care less about it, but at the same time, you know, the book is still as good as the book would be. Yeah. Online or in-store book shopping. Yeah. I don't think I've ever bought a book online. So I think I would pick in person, but I want to hear your answer. Yeah, I don't really go book shopping very much. And I don't feel a need to, because I just like have my online to read list. And so then if I want to buy a book, I want to buy a book that's like on my to read list or my like wish list. And I prefer borrowing library books and then
like buying them once I know I like them.
This is so interesting because Shoy also went on an online book shopping spree.
I think the one thing that I prefer about online shopping is like I can get kind of overwhelmed in stores, and I also get like decision paralysis. So having like the space and time to like browse and then like think about it and then go back and just make the decision was actually kind of useful. But I much prefer bookstores.
I just feel when I'm shopping, there's like this pressure that I need to leave and stop shopping. I hate it.
I feel that too. Yeah, but it depends because sometimes like independent small bookstores can be cute and cozy vibes. But what I was about to say, which I think is also a future question, was that
like the huge secondhand libraries and like the like stuff like that. That's fun because you find weird shit, and I love weird shit. Yeah, you are a big borrower. You're a very big library person, and we borrow a lot of our books from friends first as well.
Yeah, true.
And if we like books and we need them in our library, then we buy them.
Yeah. Which I think is also a question that's coming up later. But anyway, the next question is trilogies or series. I honestly don't care that much.
This is actually similar to how I think about movies and TV shows. Is I appreciate when it's planned. Like an ending is planned. So that's what I respect about trilogies, is that there is like an end of... Oh, hello, come. Yeah, but what I appreciate about trilogies is that there is an end of that is like in sight. So I respect trilogies for that, but that being said, like if I'm really into something, I'm always going to want more. So maybe I actually will answer series.
I think a series gives you more flexibility.
I also am curious about the publishing world. Like I wonder if if people are limited to just trilogies because of what publishers are willing to actually publish and what they think people will read.
Probably.
All right, next question. Heroes or villains?
Do you have opinions?
I love a villain. I love a villain. I love a good villain.
We were reading that one B. Schwab series, Vicious. Do you remember that?
Oh,
and that was kind of like villains.
Okay, I will say, I don't think either of us thought, because I know that V. Schwab, is quite popular on BookTube. I won't speak for you. I didn't really like Vicious that much. We thought it was really funny and a bit camp, and we were like reading it out loud when we, like before we went to sleep. It was like our bedtime story. It was silly.
Yeah, it was actually really cute. We should do that again.
We
do bedtime stories.
It.
And we have this. I have the second book as well because I got them from an op shop.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe we should get back into it and see what the boys are up to. But yeah, I love a good villain. But I also love a flawed hero.
Ooh.
But in rapid fire tag, not choosing both sides, I will say villain. I think villains are good and fun.
I think I actually like a hero. I want someone that I can root for. And I also want someone who's complex. For me, like seeing that side of a character where I can see them like making difficult choices or like because they're traumatized from their past, they're not perfect. I find that more interesting because it's like...
But you don't find that more interesting as a villain?
I don't need it to be a villain backstory. I think heroes can be pretty complex and interesting, and I'm more likely to be rooting for them because this narrative is set from like their perspective. I
also would like to make my case that I don't think villains need to have a complex backstory or be like sympathizable either.
Right.
I think you can have a fun villain who is like, you know, following all sorts of tropes or whatever, you know, like I just think there is something fun and intriguing and just like different to real life about being bad, or you know what I mean?
The next question is a book you want everyone to read. Do you need some time to think?
No, I have one in my head.
Yeah, me too. 3, 2, 1. Healing resistance. Help me hold my head.
I know, it's her time to move. It's really good. It's by Kazu Haga, and he basically has been facilitating and teaching about like Kingian non-violence for a very long time.
Yeah, like Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah. So it's like, it is political, but I wouldn't say that is a reason to not read it if that's not what you're into.
And I would say like this book in particular is like talking about how like not just how it applies politically but also personally, and like I think that's the idea that we also appreciate about it so much is like it's more of a worldview and a personal philosophy, not just like a political ideology. And I think like that's really important to the original kind of ideas, but also like the way that this author talks about it and makes it like relevant to kind of the modern age.
Relevant and also accessible. The way he talks about it is really non-judgmental as well, and is very understanding of the fact that, you know, people all over the world have to use violence to defend themselves, and really like a world of non-violence and no harm is the aim and the goal. Anyway, this got really serious. Okay guys, my camera just stopped recording for a sec, so we're going back a little bit by a few questions and redoing it. But anyway, you heard about Healing Resistance. We'll leave it there. Except that it's really good and you should read it. Absolutely. Recommend an underrated author.
Oh yeah. Okay. I was struggling with this one. So my answer was just an underrated book because it's a bit niche and like probably no one's heard of it, but I haven't read anything else by the author, and that was Fairy Tales for Wild Girls by Alice Nia, which I read in high school, and it was like one of my favorites in high school. And I love that the back describes it as a deliciously dark bubblegum gothic fairy tale, which is so fun. And it's an Australian author as well. I think it's either middle grade or YA. I don't remember what it's actually about, but it was just like, yeah, gothic, spooky, kind of Edgar Allan Poe vibes. And I would love to reread it to see if it still holds up. Yeah, and maybe the other stuff that this author has written is also good, but I'm out of my like middle grade and YA phase, so I don't think I'll read anything else by her. But that was my answer. You had a better answer, I think.
I don't know. I feel like I also really struggled for an answer to this. Because I feel like I haven't been reading a lot of the same author. Yeah. But my cheat to it was short story compilation, and also question whether underrated, but we'll get there. So this is The Diving Pool by Yoko Ogawa. And actually she's like an award-winning Japanese author. So we're like technically underrated because...
Translated fiction, you know?
But like obviously is actually like quite well renowned. But essentially this is like this is all I've read of hers, which is 3 short stories, also kind of in the horror genre, but I would say like more, I don't know how you say horrible, where it's like
psychological,
yeah, like visceral. It makes you feel gross, but it's not like terrifying, you know. But yeah, there's just, yeah, like I would say psychological. Like there's yeah, like there's a sister who poisons her pregnant sister, who's gross. And then yeah, some like weird school stalking stuff that's like unnerving. But I really enjoyed it. I think she was great.
Cute. Yeah. The next question is, what was the last book that you finished? The last book I finished was Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. I finished this last night, and I've been talking about this on my channel. It's going to be in one of my vlogs that either has come out or is going to come out. So I won't talk about it too much, but are you interested in hearing about Robin Hobb? Have you heard of Robin Hobb?
I read the first book in the series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I didn't like it.
Oh, wow. Wait, we should talk about that.
Well, I just thought it was the same way I feel about a lot of fantasy, which is that, like we discussed earlier, my attention span is not with it anymore. But actually, I read the first book in high school, and I just felt like it was really dense.
And it is really slow.
Yeah, and I also had a really, like, I've read The Hobbit, but I had a really hard time getting into Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, whereas, like, Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think dense fantasy...
Not your vibe.
No, I can't do it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, because I like fantasy worlds. Oh, we had a debate about what the most recent book I read was, but it was probably this. I haven't finished a book in a while. The Persuaders, it's really good. It's kind of about how we win hearts and minds on the left. And the author, he's interviewed a bunch of like different organizers, but a bunch of different people basically working in like the social justice or like, how do we take people on a journey space? So it's like people who have organized like for Black Lives Matter to people who are trying to train and like upskill adoptees of
Black children.
Yeah, or children of colour. Yeah.
It also talks about like AOC
and also like how actually we persuade people, how we inoculate them from like misinformation. There's like, I love door knocking and love like face-to-face conversation. And there's like a whole chapter about that, which is really fun, of like how people have done like deep canvassing in the US to fight for like better outcomes for immigrants. It's cool. It's a cool book. If you are a person doing change-making stuff, I would read it.
Yeah, I also read it, and I'm probably going to talk about it soon. Because I think like some of it's just interesting for any person, because like if you don't know what change-making means or like activism means, I don't know, I think people have a lot of assumptions about it, and I think it's nice to actually learn like what are the like proven ways to actually make a difference and change people's minds, especially in this day and age. So I think everyone should know a little bit about it. But what was the other book that you did technically finish?
So I think, so the reason we debated about it is because I don't think I've read a full book in like a proper book in probably about like 5 or 6 months. I feel like I listen to a lot of like 5-hour-long audiobooks, which is kind of just a cheat because it's just like a long podcast. But I think it was probably Animal Farm. When we had re-recorded this, we had a whole chat about how
the movie adaptation of Animal Farm and it being shit, potentially
shit. We haven't seen it yet, but what it sounds like is that it's going to be deeply watered down. and that sucks.
My phone ran out of storage, which always happens. This is our other housemate Will, who had the opinion about Hunger Games. Sorry, I cast a bad first impression of you on the internet.
That I stopped reading after.
That you didn't like it.
You didn't like it. I just think
that.
you didn't like Mockingjay. Is that what you mean?
Sorry, Will, you've ruined your own reputation by saying this. I would have to bleep out the spoiler.
Oh, I read the three
okay,
books.
the books are
up
very
until died, and then
I'm
I was just
bleeping
like,
this.
well, I couldn't consciously continue. I was like, what's the point of all this? It's so bleak.
The question we got cut off at was, what's the weirdest thing you've used as a bookmark? I didn't have any good answer. I usually do use bookmarks actually, but you had a great answer.
Yeah, I just use whatever is in my bag. I feel like most of what I've used is receipts, but I think I also have used like a pad before. But like, like a small liner, and like still, I had to be clear that it's in like little packaging.
Like a period pad, to also be clear.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the weird thing.
I think that's a great answer. The next question is, used books, yes or no? We already answered this. Yeah.
Let's move on.
The next question was top 3 favorite genres. I couldn't come up with 3. I think mine are like fantasy, non-fiction, which is usually like political or like social movement or like social issues kind of non-fiction. And like I do read a lot of contemporary and literary fiction, but I don't know if they're my favorite. I have mixed feelings.
What I read is mostly non-fiction. I think similarly to you, there's like the like political and or social movement books, and then there's also like a lot of self-help books.
Don't feel ashamed. This is a no judgment zone.
Like going back to when I used to read a lot more fiction, I feel like it like generally was fantasy and sci-fi would be my favorite genres.
The next question also, borrow or buy. We already said that like, I mean, I'm very happy to borrow and I like borrowing to know whether I like the book enough to own it. But yeah, what was your answer?
I also borrow books. I just feel like we're both stingy with what we buy.
Yeah.
And if we read a book and we're like, yeah, this is good enough for a reread and or to give to a friend, we'll buy it, but otherwise.
Yeah. But you're saying that you borrow from your friends more than...
Yeah, than the library. You're a very library person. I feel like I borrow books based on recommendations.
But you should get onto the library audiobook services. Yeah.
And then what you've missed here is Shoy's 5-minute rant about why the audiobook service is way worse. Anyway, there's some hot takes for you.
But Libby, my main part of my hot take is that Libby is the best.
Borrow box.
Boom.
Bow, bow.
Yeah.
Sucks. Okay, let's keep going.
Character or plot?
Let's keep this short.
Yeah, I think we both agreed character. I think another factor for us is we both like to psychoanalyze. I don't know if you say that's like a factor, but for me it's like it comes from the same basic interest in like how people work.
Yeah.
Next question is long or short books. I said long books, particularly for fantasy. Whereas like I think a non-fiction, I don't need it to be long. I want it to be to the point. But I don't mind long books. Like for me, I don't mind a long book. Yeah.
I think short books.
But would you like to read longer books, or are you like very happy with short books? You sounded kind of like you had some shame around reading short books. You were like, you don't even count.
I think I have shame around my attention span. Like I think it's not at the place where I'd like it to be.
Will's come to join us.
I'm the third housemate.
Yeah, and also you kind of look like a second cat.
That's how Shoy treats me.
Sorry, I do a little bit.
You
like the head cat. Next question was name the first 3 books you think of, which we already did once, but...
Go Will.
Yeah, you have to go now.
The Lord of the Rings,
Nice.
the Bible, the Australian Marine Life revised edition.
Which we're using to prop up the chair that's broken.
Don't put me on the spot like this.
That's perfect. That's exactly what the point is
really
of the
good.
challenge. Should we redo it as well?
Yeah, I said The Alchemist. What else did I say? I said Doctoral Quest. And I've forgotten the last book I said.
We'll come up with a new one.
Yeah, give me a second. Oh, I looked at the frogs again. Wind of the Willows.
Oh yeah, this is what you missed. You said Wind in the Willows, and I thought Gone with the Wind. And I was like, oh yeah, the one set in the Confederacy. Should I do mine as well?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, The Magicians? Is that like a sequel to The Alchemist? No, it's just like a different book. The Magicians. For some reason, An Ember in the Ashes. That came to my mind again. Probably because I said it last time. And Girl, Woman, Other. Books that made you laugh or cry.
I don't have an original answer. I read A Little Life and that made me cry.
That makes sense. So we need to apologise for the third death of the camera and now new audio and new video because we're using a different phone.
What was the next question?
Our world or fictional? Are we sure the camera hasn't just gone down a lot?
Okay. Our world or fictional? 3, 2, 1. Fictional.
Our world.
Do you explain why?
I thought you had a quite good explanation, surely.
Okay, you disagreed with my explanation completely. I said that I just think like there are lots of things wrong with other worlds and like we're trying to figure out how our world functions and like trying to create change in it and like defeat the evil powers that be, and I don't want to start from scratch in a fictional world. Although maybe in a fictional world we'll have like magic to help us, but like
so I think just stole my answer, which is why I would do fictional. It's because you get plot armor and magic potentially.
Right. It doesn't solve the problem because like at the end of the day you'll always have social problems. So why start from scratch? Yeah.
I think going to a fictional world is kind of a cop-out because like we're not solving this world. It's like Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. It's like starting something new when like there's clearly a world in dire need of everyone who can help it.
Wow. I love that we all just like our brains work the exact same way, that the only basis of our answer is like how to solve global injustice instead of just like I would have fun in a fantasy world. I want to do magic.
What if our world is the fantasy world? You know, it's kind of incredible in many ways. Single biosphere connected.
Wow. Thanks for trying to be profound, Will. Thanks for
trying.
Next book was audiobooks. Yes or no? I think we're in clear agreement of yes. We love an audiobook.
I can't do audiobooks. I can do podcasts, but I think audiobooks are too slow. See, it's not like a book where I can just like, I can go back to the last page and start again.
That's true.
It's like
that happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
That's what's happened to me with The Expanse like 5 times.
Next question was, do you ever judge a book by its cover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm definitely more judgmental than I should be about books by their cover.
But see, I think I'm willing to give the contents of the book a shot, and I will still, like, I don't care that much if I have an ugly cover, if I love the book.
If the book comes on recommendation, the cover won't matter to me. But if I'm looking at a book and just deciding whether or not I'm going to read it without any prior knowledge of the book, 100% I judge the book by its cover. And also, I think it's not helped by the fact that blurbs nowadays are terrible.
Oh, I hate blurbs. So I will not read a blurb.
Well, I actually don't think blurbs are terrible. I think the fact that they're replaced by reviews and crap that doesn't matter is what affects me.
Right. I just prefer like listening to people's reviews.
Cool.
Yeah. Will, do you have?
Most of the books that I read are recommended to me by friends. I don't think I've ever really chosen a book from its cover or like decided not to read a book because of its cover. On the other hand, if I'm buying a book because I really like it, I will go out of my way to find one with a good cover.
With a cute.
Or like a hardcover.
I respect that.
Book to movie or book to TV?
Oh,
yeah, I have a strong opinion.
Okay, go.
Oh, TV 100%. Because there's so much content you have to drop to fit into like a 90-minute movie.
I agree.
I would also say TV because I like more content, and especially if I really like the books, would be looking for more. But sometimes I look at books and I'm like, I think you could be a movie. Like, for example, The Overstory is my favorite book, and they're adapting that into a TV show, and I personally don't think it needs to be a TV show.
I'm scared.
But maybe it should be a TV show. I'm also very scared it's bad. It's going to be bad. It would make me very sad.
Yeah.
I think, because like, for example, can I proposition to you, do you think Lord of the Rings would have been better as a TV show or as a like movie series?
Yeah, see, that's a good property question. I think definitely a movie series, but that's because I think epics need to be grand and big.
Well, see, this is the reason I would say TV shows, but I think the problem is a lot of TV shows have lower budgets than movies. So, especially for sci-fi and fantasy, I just think the TV show adaptations are usually shit, like The Expanse. Sorry, I know that you like The Expanse a lot.
Epics, I think, are better in film because one of the things about an epic is when you reach the end of the film, you look back and you're like, wow, I've come so far.
Yeah.
And if you're in like a 30-minute show, or even an hour show, that's harder.
Normal People, I think, was a fantastic adaptation. I think that works for, and like even Big Little Lies. Like I think miniseries are actually
Big Little Lies was a terrible TV show.
I thought it was pretty good.
No.
I thought it was not bad. I probably preferred the books for sure.
We should talk about this off camera. I have extremely strong opinions about that TV. I got into a fight with my best friend's mum about Big Little Lies. Because she was like, it was amazing. And I was like, Karen, are you fucking kidding? Her name was Karen. But I was like, Karen, are you fucking kidding me? Big Little Lies as a TV show was terrible. And they like absolutely went off book in a bunch of ways that didn't make sense and made the story much worse. And I think the portrayal of abuse in the TV show was much less interesting than it was actually in the books. But because the power dynamics were much more human and real, I have thought. And also, I think making it American sucked.
Fair enough. Me saying that was good is not necessarily because I think like its content and substance was like fantastic, but like as a format, I think it works as a miniseries.
Yeah.
The next question is a movie or TV show you prefer to the book.
Oh yeah.
That's hard. Do you have an answer?
Preferred is strong language. I think the first two Harry Potter movies captured the magic in just terms of like the feeling that I was left with after watching it.
Harry Potter the movies have stayed with me, and like the books obviously now are very tainted by J.K. Rowling as well. So I'm like, you know, like I appreciate I just appreciate that Harry Potter has like lived on through like the cast and like, you know, and the cast like talking out against J.K. Rowling. Like I feels like there is a world of its own. Obviously it still benefits J.K. Rowling, but like I'm happy that exists. Imagine if those movies were bad. Like then we would have nothing. I think it's like
I don't know, like I think the books obviously have their problems and J.K. Rowling has her problems. Yeah. But I do have a soft spot for the books, and I do think there was a lot from the books missing from. And I think missing from probably because problematic.
Right.
But
are you gonna say the like whole thing about the who cooks the meals?
Yeah. Well, just like slaves.
Oh, the like
whole,
Dobby.
The whole slavery.
But I think Winky's alcoholism
needed to be in the movies.
I did think Winky's alcoholism needed to be in the movies, and I think Ginny's character in the movies was also
Would this have anything to do with your alcoholism? Neither of you.
No, I didn't answer. I think my examples probably would be Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. Both books are books that I really tried hard to read, but were really dense, and I thought the shows were much more engaging. Not the shows. I thought the movies and the shows. Much more engaging.
I actually didn't like the Lord of the Rings movies that much. They just were too long for me.
And too long fights, I also agree. Cut them down. No one needs to watch the extended edition.
Yeah, the third movie really... Maybe it's because I watched the extended edition.
It's so
such
targeted.
a hot take. The extended edition all the way. But I feel like I do skip like Frodo and Sam sections.
See, I skip all the battles and keep all the Frodo and Sam.
Yeah, but I love the battles.
We have different tastes, I guess. I don't watch many movies or TV shows, I think.
A lot of it is reality TV.
We should soft launch our Love is Blind recap series.
True.
We're soft launching it now.
We haven't even watched the latest season, so maybe we could.
There's a massive audience for that.
There actually is a massive audience for that, Will. People actually have careers and podcasts on
I'm scared of having those people find my channel, to be completely honest. But if you guys like Love is Blind...
We'll do it in a very wholesome and also toxic and not... Well, we're not going to be toxic, but just...
We read into people.
Yeah. We just psychoanalyze people in a way that's potentially irresponsible. But it will give disclaimers about the fact that we're being irresponsible.
So it's totally fine. Final question is series or standalones? I like a series.
I don't really have an opinion. Whatever it needs, you know?
Many of my favourite books are series, but... I find series quite intimidating. Like, I have to commit to the series, you know. There's many times that I've read just the first book in a series and then been like, that was a really good story. I'm done. Yeah. The last time I did that was The Magician's Apprentice. That's what it's called.
I think I'm probably a standalone book person. I feel like I feel non-committal.
I think it's about time to wrap. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I hope this wasn't too chaotic. We'll find out when I edit. And I hope you enjoyed the company of my housemates, Abby and Will. If you did, I can bring them back on in the future. I would love to co-read things with these guys, but I think, you both have like less of an attention span.
What do you think Lux's favourite book would be?
Ooh.
My guess
Harry Potter
is The Communist Manifesto.
He's not a theory bro though.
You have to be a theory bro. for
She's
Brett.
giving.
Her favorite
Mal.
book? Whose favorite? No. For the Communist Manifesto to be your favorite book, you have to be a bit of a wanker.
I think she'd probably be into Sherlock, like that one with Meow Yummy.
Meow Yahtzee.
I think it's
That
time
was
to
not good.
end this video.
Chairman Meow and Meow Yahtzee.
I am meant to tag people,
Lucky
but I
guys.
didn't think about this, so I'm gonna come back in and tell you who I tag. Thanks, future me. That's the end. Bye everyone. Take care.